Okay, so ready to dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
This book,
Yeah,
it's everywhere you look.
it is.
And today we're going to try to figure out why.
Yeah.
It all kind of boils down to this idea that
Yeah.
that the rich teach their kids about money differently,
Right.
and Kiyosaki says that the rest of us are missing out.
Yeah.
So get ready to explore this financial phenomenon.
You're right. This book is practically a cultural phenomenon.
It is.
And Kiyosaki's storytelling
Yeah.
is a big part of its appeal.
Absolutely.
The contrasting figures of his own dad struggling financially despite a good education,
Yeah.
and his friend's father, the rich dad, is a brilliant narrative hook.
It's a great hook.
It makes you question
It really does.
if a traditional education is really the ticket
Yeah.
to financial success.
He throws down the gauntlet right from the beginning.
He does.
He's like, hey,
Yeah.
your fancy degree and your good grades might not mean much when it comes to money. It's your mindset that matters.
Yeah.
And that's really a recurring theme throughout the book.
huge.
It's not about how much you earn.
It's not about how much.
It's what you do with it.
It's what you do with it. And that
Yeah.
leads us very nicely onto one of Kiyosaki's most famous concepts,
Okay.
the stark difference between assets and liability.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Think of it this way.
Yeah.
Assets put money in your pocket,
Okay.
while liabilities relentlessly pull money out.
Okay, so we want to build a portfolio of
Yep.
income-generating assets,
That's it.
things like businesses, stocks, rental properties.
Mm-hmm.
But it's his view on home ownership that I think is what really throws people.
He doesn't just challenge it, he practically dismantles it.
He does. He's like, your house is not an asset.
He argues that for many, a house is a liability disguised as an asset.
Right.
Think about it.
Okay.
You've got mortgage payments,
Yeah.
property taxes,
Mm-hmm.
insurance, maintenance. It's a constant drain on your finances.
Right.
Now, Kiyosaki isn't saying you should never buy a house,
Right.
but he urges you to consider if it truly aligns with your financial goals.
It's like that classic saying, don't work for money, make it work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes us a step further with his cash flow quadrant,
Yeah.
which he breaks down into employees,
Yep.
the self-employed business owners and investors.
That's right.
It's almost like a board game.
It's a powerful visual, even if you're just picturing it.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself moving through the quadrants.
Yeah.
Each one represents a
Right.
different way to generate income
Yeah.
with its own unique set of risks and rewards.
Right.
Kiyosaki argues that employees and the self-employed are stuck in a trade-off,
Yeah.
their time for money.
Right.
And that's where he introduces this really evocative idea of the rat race.
The rat race.
Yeah.
Such a
good term.
such a fitting term for that feeling of
Yeah.
working harder, getting a raise, but still feeling stuck.
Absolutely.
Like your income goes up,
Yeah.
but your expenses and taxes go up.
Yes. Yes.
And speaking of taxes,
Oh, yeah.
Kiyosaki does not hold back on his opinions there.
He certainly doesn't.
He
He
really,
really lets loose on that one.
he's like Robin Hood's a crook.
He dives into the history of taxes,
Yeah.
making the case that the wealthy often use corporations to their advantage.
Right.
He points to things like deductions for business expenses
Right.
and lower tax rates on certain types of income,
yeah.
arguing that these advantages aren't typically available
Right.
to employees in the same way.
It's like he's saying knowing the tax code is a secret weapon
It is.
and that we should be learning how to play the game
You've got to be smart.
strategically, just like the rich dads supposedly teach their kids.
Exactly.
So he's not saying to just like ignore those feelings,
Right.
fear or doubt.
Right.
It's more about not letting them paralyze you from making a smart financial decision.
Yeah. Kiyosaki acknowledges that fear,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to money,
Right.
is a natural human emotion.
Sure.
It's about managing that fear,
Okay.
not letting it paralyze you.
Right.
He even uses that memorable analogy about Texans and the Alamo.
Oh, right. He talks about how
Yeah.
Texans, they don't let failure bury them.
Right.
They use it as a rallying cry.
They turn setbacks
Remember the Alamo.
into fuel for motivation.
Right.
And he says you should do the same thing with your finances.
And he talks a lot about learning by doing.
Absolutely.
And he's open about the fact that he's made plenty of mistakes
Yeah.
in his own journey,
Yeah.
but he's learned from those.
But those mistakes became valuable lessons.
Right. And he talks
Which is a
about
part of the journey.
finding people who have
Yes.
already achieved what you want
Yeah.
and learning from them.
Absolutely. He talks about studying investors like Donald Trump
Right.
and Warren Buffett, dissecting their strategies,
Mhm.
their mindsets.
So it's like finding a guide for a trail.
Exactly.
They've already hiked the trail.
That's it.
Learn from their successes and their missteps.
Yep. And Kiyosaki doesn't just emphasize financial knowledge.
Okay.
He stresses the importance of developing multiple skills.
Like when he left his job at Standard Oil
Exactly.
to join the Marines and learn to fly.
Which went totally against his educated dad's advice.
I bet.
Yeah, his educated dad valued job security above all else.
Right.
But his rich dad
Yeah.
encouraged him to seek experiences that built valuable skills,
Okay.
even if it meant taking risks
Right.
and stepping outside his comfort zone.
So don't just focus on a paycheck.
That's it.
Focus on acquiring knowledge and skills
Yeah,
that will pay dividends in the long run.
that's right. And that ties in really well with his emphasis on finding a mentor.
Right.
Someone who has already achieved what you want.
Like take them out to lunch.
He says take them to lunch.
Pick their brain.
Pick their brain. Right. He believes that good advice is worth paying for.
He does.
Whether it's from a financial advisor,
Mm-hmm.
a real estate expert,
Sure.
or a successful entrepreneur.
Okay.
He shares how he learned to buy real estate
Okay.
with no money down
Yeah.
from a $385 seminar,
Wow.
an investment that he claims has made him millions.
He really emphasizes investing in your education,
He does.
especially when it comes to
Especially literacy.
financial literacy.
And once you've kind of gone down that road
Yeah.
to be generous with that knowledge.
Yeah. He says, the more you give, the more you receive.
Right.
He connects this to finding your purpose,
Yeah.
your passion.
It's not all about money.
It's not solely about accumulating wealth.
Right.
It's about aligning your financial journey with your values
Okay.
and making a contribution to the world.
So finding that sweet spot where
Yes.
passion, purpose, and profit intersect.
You got it.
And he acknowledges that.
Changing careers or shifting your income-generating strategies
Oh.
to be really daunting, especially if you have
Yeah.
existing financial obligations.
If you're already in a career
Oh, yeah.
that you don't love,
Yeah.
it can be tough to get out.
And we've covered a lot of ground here.
Well, yeah.
Mindset assets versus liabilities,
Mm.
navigating the rat race,
Absolutely.
understanding taxes,
Yeah.
overcoming these mental obstacles, the importance of mentorship.
It's a lot.
But I think one thing that really resonates with me
Yeah.
is this emphasis on taking action.
Yeah. He's a big believer in that.
You can't just read about financial success.
You can't just think about it.
You have to go out and create it.
You have to take action.
And he even talks about being really bold
Yeah.
when you're looking for investments.
It
Like make lots of offers,
Yeah.
even if they're low,
He says make lots of offers.
because you never know.
You never know.
You never know what someone might accept.
You
They
don't.
might just say yes.
And he's also quick to remind us that even the most successful investors encounter setbacks and losses.
Right.
It's all part of the game.
They're inevitable.
Yeah, nobody wins every time.
Right. But it's about how you handle it.
Exactly. It's how you handle those challenges that ultimately defines your success.
It kind of reminds me of that old saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about how hard you work. It's about how smart you work.
Right.
And Kiyosaki really emphasizes that.
He does. He challenges that traditional advice of working hard,
Right.
saving diligently,
Right.
and investing for the long haul.
Like that old model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He believes that in today's rapidly evolving world,
Yeah.
you need to be more agile,
Be more adaptable.
more financially savvy,
Right.
and really embrace
An entrepreneurial mindset.
that entrepreneurial mindset,
Yeah.
truly thrive.
Well, it's not just about building wealth.
Right.
It's about achieving that genuine financial freedom.
Yeah, that freedom to, yeah,
Live life on your own terms.
Right.
Free from the constraints of
Yeah.
a traditional job or a constant paycheck.
like being able to walk into your boss's office and say, see ya.
Exactly.
Like,
Kiyosaki argues that true financial freedom
yeah.
comes from having your money work for you,
Okay.
generating passive income
Yeah.
through strategic investments
Mhm.
and well-structured businesses.
And he really stresses that.
He uses this really great analogy
Yeah.
of each dollar in your asset column being like a dedicated employee,
Oh, yeah.
tirelessly working to create more wealth even while you're asleep.
Working for you 24/7.
Exactly.
But he also talks about protecting those assets.
Yes.
Understanding.
It's not enough just to make the money.
Right.
You've got to know how to hold on to it.
Right.
He dedicates a significant portion of Rich Dad, Poor Dad
Okay.
to explaining how corporations can be used strategically
Okay.
to minimize your tax burden and safeguard your wealth.
So he's kind of lifting the curtain.
He is on these strategies that you always think are
Yeah.
only for really rich people.
Yeah, he's saying anyone can use these.
right?
If you understand the rules,
Right. You just have to
learn to play the game.
learn how to play the game.
Exactly.
Like he says, don't just make money, be smart about keeping it.
Yes, and he argues that many wealthy individuals often pay less in taxes
Okay.
than the middle class because they understand how to utilize the tax laws strategically.
So financial literacy is like the key takeaway here.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's crucial.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
We talked about the contrasting mindsets of the rich and the
The
poor.
power of assets
Right.
over liabilities.
We navigated that treacherous rat race.
Learned how to handle our taxes.
Yes.
Learned about overcoming those mental obstacles.
Yeah. And so much more.
So much more.
But for me, I think the biggest takeaway is this idea
Yeah.
that wealth is not just about how much money you have.
It's about your financial knowledge, your ability to make money work for you,
Okay.
and adopting a mindset that's geared towards abundance.
That's a good way to put it.
It's about designing a life of freedom and purpose.
Yeah, not just chasing a bigger paycheck.
It's not about being a millionaire on paper.
Right.
It's about having the freedom to live the life you want.
Exactly.
Well,
That's true wealth.
so you've had your Rich Dad, Poor Dad deep dive.
I have.
What stands out to you?
I think that idea of financial freedom
Yeah.
is really powerful
It's a powerful message.
and challenging some of those traditional beliefs around money and work.
But there's one last thought I want to leave you with.
Okay.
Kiyosaki's strategies, they heavily emphasize traditional assets like real estate,
Yeah.
brick and mortar businesses.
Yeah.
How do those principles translate to today's world?
That's a good question.
With the rise of online business digital assets,
Yeah, the world has changed a lot
the gig economy,
since this book came out.
it's a question worth exploring.
It is as you continue on your financial journey.
Absolutely.
So until next time, happy investing.